Hello, my name is Sara Ward and I am a third grade teacher at Woodland Hills, and my goal today with this video is to show you how to access the HMH Ed website for science and social studies. So I have mine in my classroom page and Clever for both me and the kids for easy access. So when you click on the icon, it is the smiley face icon. That's how I tell that's what it is. If you will click on it, you will have to do a double click of logging in, and you will do that every time. And then you will have to choose yourself to make sure that it's you. And it will take you to your dashboard. And there's some things on the dashboard that will help you as a teacher navigate the materials. It will help you interact with your kids as well. So the first page that you come to is your dashboard. And your dashboard just has information for you, but you can also see down below any assignments that you might give, anything that might need to be graded. But what is most important for me as a classroom teacher first is to make sure that I'm in science. If you're not in science, you just click on it and it will drop down and you can choose social studies or science is the ones we'll use, but we'll make sure it's in science. And then click on Discover. That Discover tab houses all of your student ebook, your teacher ebook. It has the units separated out. And so this is really the place that I go to plan. I have my students come here to find their ebooks, or we do simulations, which we'll look at later. And that's all on here. We're in Unit 4 with our pacing calendar. And so I always click on it because here, there's no teacher ebook or student ebook option, but if you click on it, you will see that you get this teacher ebook and the student ebook option. And so this is where you might access all of your student information. The teacher ebook is just the online format of your teacher guide. The student ebook is just like for us it's blue, but it's the science workbook textbook that you have for your kids. The format is a little bit different than the paper copy, so be careful when you use it, but this is where I go to quite a bit. You have your resources broken down by lesson for that unit, and then down below are the resources. And we'll come back to this part of our page to look at what is needed for us as teachers and as students. The student ebook online is where I go to as I'm leading a lesson, because the student's book does not have the Explore Online part of it. So if I come here, even their printed page becomes interactive, and they think it's really cool to see their photograph come to life on the computer. You will have to scroll down as you go through. So it is kind of tedious that you can't just click and go. So as you scroll down, it will go through everything, and then to get to the next page or the next section, you have to click the arrow and it will take you to every lesson. There's some parts of this that are important. The Contents tab breaks down what lesson you might want to go to. So we happen to be on lesson 3. So we're just about done with this unit, and we will be starting Exploration 1. The Engage part is just a little bit of a snippet of information. So we read that one, but we will start on Exploration 1, and it takes us to what the students see. So we read through it. What's on my screen doesn't always match theirs because it's an online portion. So this is something that we have to kind of peek over at one of the students' books to make sure that we're in sync with each other. But it is interactive. The kids can use it as an e-option on Google Classroom. They can make notes. They can listen to it in audio. When they make their answer choices, they can click check, and it will show them I'm right or I'm wrong. If I can move it up. Perhaps not. So we'll go to play audio is an option for them to click on this audio link, and the more button for the student is an option for them. and it will have audio on. You can turn it off, or it will have the read along highlighter bar so that as they're reading, they can see that highlight scroll across. The one thing that is important for a teacher is this share to Google Classroom. So the way to do that is you would click on Google Classroom, and there's some boxes that keep popping up. You would choose your classroom class, choose your action. So if I want to create an assignment on Google Classroom for a student that in a traditional setting might be quarantined or at home, an extended time off, this is where I would create an assignment for them. And click go, and it automatically loads it into your assignment page in Google Classroom. Type your instructions, fill in your information that you want to fill it in. If this says access denied, keep clicking, it will still work. Sometimes it pops up, sometimes it doesn't. So if we assign it, we can go to our classroom to view it. And I have it in my classwork page, and it will pop up right here for the students to log into. And again, sometimes you have this extra step of going to choose your account. And it will pull up the student ebook version of it. So again, the students can play their own audio. They can click on more and have that read along highlighter on. And so it will help give them some options as they're reading if they have that modification or they need that. So I'm going to go back to our page. That is the student ebook. I use it because the kids have some videos that they can watch on there that's not in their textbook. So it's a good thing for a teacher to use. I wouldn't use the teacher ebook during a lesson because that has all the extra information, the answer key and things like that. But if you're going to use instruction, I would pull up the student ebook because it's interactive and they see that online exploration. Down below are the fun part of the science, and this is the resources tab. And these are all tabs, and you can play with them as much as you want. You won't break anything, you won't ruin anything, and you learn so much more about what you have. And there's a lot of good things in here that you don't know that's there. So I'm going to go through a few that are probably the most common and usable for a teacher and for our students. The assessments tab will give you unit assessments for each of our 7 units. You would scroll down, there's a lot of pages, so it will tell you the title. You have an option to open it. You can add it to a teacher plan in your dashboard. They have beginning of the year assessments. But as you scroll, you will notice that it tells you your unit, the title of your unit. And now you notice that there is an open or an assign. You can just open it as a link for your class to look at as you're doing it. This is where you would print it to your computer if you want a paper copy of it. If you want to assign it, you would click assign and fill in your information. What day do you want to start it on? When is it due? Do you have directions? Are you going to do it by class? You will need to filter. So if we're in science, we will need to click on the science link and then select your students and click and assign. And it will go straight to Google Classroom like our other one did that we assigned to Google Classroom. So the assessments has an editable version that you as the teacher can take out some questions, change some answers on questions, so it is editable. There's an answer key for you. And then it has the lesson quizzes also that's separate from the unit test. So this would be a great place to find those documents that you might want to not have to go look through a book for. So the assessments tab, and there's a lot of pages, so you just have to scroll trying to find what unit you are on. All right, when I'm done with this, it's easier for me to go back and just click Discover and go back to the main page instead of having to re-navigate through everything. And again, I click on the unit that we're working on so that I see the teacher ebook and the student ebook. And we'll scroll to One of my kids' favorites is You Solve It Simulations. And this is an online simulation. So if you don't have materials, if you don't have things that the kids can manipulate, this is one that they can do. So we currently are in Unit 4, looking at life cycles and inherited traits. So this one is really just about insect life cycles. So a student would come here. If it's for you as a teacher, you would click the teacher link, but the students and open it. We give it some time always to work, and when you have 25 kids, sometimes you have to let it open slowly. It always starts with an overview. So a lot of times we will read that overview as a class. I have it here, the students have it on their devices, and we'll watch the video. When we watch the video and we're done, we'll click Get Started. You can click the play button and let the students do that on their own. When all of this is finished, it will take you to your simulation screen. There's always some question that students have to answer. I will just type in something random for today's video, but there's always an answer. So when you come for your input field, if it will let me input, probably not, then we will put an input in there. I sometimes just type in 1 or 2, or I might do a random set of letters. And so we've got our cursor in there. We'll put A. Perfect. And then we click Submit. And then there will be another question. And this one says to make a claim. It's usually a hypothesis, or it's going to, what do you think the answer to the question that you just typed is going to be? So again, I usually don't give a whole lot of information. I let the kids type this in. But when I'm showing them, I just usually do a random set of something and we click Submit. This will read to them if they choose an option down below to have it read to them. So it will ask you, the directions are always at the top. You will click butterfly. And down here, it gives the directions below. So the students, we practice, where do we look for things? Where do we find things? And what I like about this is you really can't make a mistake. It's really about playing with it and experimenting. So we're building a terrarium, so we drag, and it will tell, that's a great choice. But if a student says, oh, I'm just going to play with it. Oh, you get the red X, and it tells you the information of why you don't need what you need. So it's very good at explaining things to our kids when they're just kind of playing and dragging and dropping. So you go through this, and you have different things that your terrarium might need, and you click Done at the bottom. So I can't use that one. I might need some insects. Nope. Let's do a screen. Good. So now when I'm done with everything and I filled everything in, there's a grayed out button here, but it says Done. The kids click on Done and they're finished. If they want to refresh and try again, there's always an opportunity. And then they can go back and switch from the butterfly to the dragonfly simulation. So I usually just let them experiment. And I tell them there's no right or wrong. I'm not looking for right or wrong answers. I'm looking for your thought process. And so this is the simulation for that. They have notes and reports that you could print out and see their answers that they wrote for each step. So very similar to a lab sheet or a report sheet. So then they can go back home. It does open a lot of tabs when you're in here, so be mindful that you have to look for what you're looking for. So I go back to this Discover, because that's easier. And then, so we've done assessments. This is where you will find your unit test, your lesson quizzes. The You Solve It simulation is great for online explorations. If you're virtual, you can push this out to your virtual students. The student ebook that we looked at right here is also tabbed right here. So they're the same thing. It'll take you to the same place, as well as the teacher ebook. The teacher ebook will also take you to that ebook online link. If you want to print out a page, or if you want to save it to your desktop and attach it to Google Classroom in a different way, you can click on Print Student. And this is a PDF version. So again, you have to scroll until you find, and I just kind of stay with lesson or unit 1 because that's, and we're not having to flip pages. So if I want unit 1, lesson 1, and I need a student to work on this assignment, I can either assign it or I can open it. And it will print out the PDF version of everything we see. It is working with Kami, so you can, when I save this for Google Classroom purposes, I click on the print button, and instead of printing to the school printer or copy machine, I save it to my computer as a PDF. You can save it straight to your Google Drive and move it from Google Drive to your Google Classroom and save it as an assignment. So this gives you the PDF version, and this little orange button says Explore Online. This is where the student ebook becomes important for you as a teacher to pull that up, because the students just see this in their book. The Explore Online tab means that there's a link that makes this either a video or an interactive something for the kids to work on. So that is why I have that student ebook pulled up, so that when the kids are at this page, we can view that as a video or as a link. So you have the assessments tab, the simulation tab, you have your student ebook and your teacher ebook. You can print out your PDF version of your teacher guide if you'd like to, but there are some other parts of this that are helpful. One of the things that I've recently found is this video-based project, and it has student worksheets, it has a teacher guide, and it has a student version. You can again open or assign. So when we open this one up, it's very similar to watch and do. So you would watch the video, and then it will take you to the next step. So your instructor's kind of teaching kids how to manipulate their materials, and then it will ask questions that are discussion. Kids can group up, answer their questions, and then you continue your video. And they link to your science standards, to your lessons, and to your units. So this is a great new tool that I have found that I think would be a great help to our kids who are much a visual learner. So we'll go back to our Discover page. This is where we always go. I always view by content because then I can see where I am. Click on our link, and let's check to make sure that we have Google Expeditions is just a tab for, like, similar to maybe Google Earth, where you can visually see and do things. We have the student book, the teacher ebook, the video-based projects. The hands-on activities and the unit projects are also in your student ebook. They're also in your paper book. So those two things the kids already have. When you're navigating through your ebook here, you can see that same hands-on activity and that unit study. So if I go back to our book and I want to click on contents, we see the unit performance task, the unit review lessons. If there is a hands-on, it will show us hands-on. It will say hands-on. Not all of them have it. And so we have the unit opener. Let's look at this one. And usually they're within a lesson. So we have engage, explore, another exploration, and then there's your hands-on activity. This is in your student ebook, in your teacher book, in the student's paper book, and it gives you the objective. If you use the ebook, there's always a place for them to type their answers. And it will give you the materials. You should have been given bags of materials that say Unit 1, Unit 2, and you will find them in there. If they're not in there, you would have to purchase them. So it tells you exactly what you need, and they're usually for groups of 6. So if you have a larger group of kids, they would have to share the materials. You can download the worksheet so that they have a paper pencil to print on, but it gives them step-by-step directions of how to do the hands-on activity. So it's there in their book, and it is also in the student ebook. All right, I think that is all of the big parts of our resources tab. They're all going to be useful. I've kind of have perused and browsed through a lot of them just to see what's there. The materials list is for your hands-on. It will show what is provided and what is not provided. It gives you a printout of glossary and vocabulary. The student resources and family resources, these are things that students could use. And it's just a leveled reader, which you should have. The leveled readers, this is a reading one, but you should have a leveled reader for your science as well. But they have the leveled readers built in. You can assign those. You can open them. So let's open the green leveled reader for forces. And this can be assigned. And so if you're working on machines and you want them to do just a quick read, they can go through there and read that. They can bookmark it. They can make notes. They can view it, similar to what we use in Think Central for our Journeys book. And then just the More button has the quick start guide. So if we want to go to page 2, you would type that in. Otherwise, you would use your arrows back and forth. So the leveled readers are a good thing if you need some extra for your online classes. So we'll go back to Discover and take a look. But I think that most everything that we've gone over are the big components of our resources tab. Again, make sure that you're in science. If you're not in science, drop down and scroll through and find it. It should be by your grade level. So if it's not, you might want to find a grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade K, and it will list that as well there. All right, thank you so much, and I hope you've learned a lot about your new science curriculum.